Hello, everyone, and welcome into the FFAN Grindhouse. I am Aaron St Denis. That is Alec Marton. We are here with a slightly delayed version of the waiver wire. Took me about an extra 25 minutes because of a school bus cancellation situation. How's it going this morning, Alec?
Oh, it's super fantastic. I am happy to be here and I'm ready to get into some waiver wire action.
As usual, I did the same thing as last night's stream. I forgot that I had YouTube rolling in the background, and I got an echo chamber there going. You repeating yourself. We've got that fixed. It's not been a great morning, but we will get into some waiver wire action. It's not pretty in some areas. Seems like there are no healthy receivers left. I guess we'll start at quarterback.
Sure.
I'm just going to run through here. Typically, the trending players on Sleeper is where I like to start. So they've got Matthew Stafford as the most trending up player. He's 41% rostered. They've got Justin Fields at 68, Dak 80%. So he's not helpful to anyone. Jackson Dart is a good one at 34%. Carson Wentz 12%, and Spencer Rattler at 7%. Obviously, I take Dak out pretty much. If you can get Fields, I guess he's the option. My waiver wire column, I had my top three as some combination of Stafford, Wentz, and Dart, I think, with maybe a little Rattler mixed in there. I think Stafford's the highest upside and the safest play as long as he's healthy. The other three are various degrees of ugly. What do you got here on the quarterback waiver wire?
So for me, Stafford, I actually have as my second. I have Carson Wentz above him only for two reasons. One being, if you already have a Vikings player like an Addison, a Jettas, a Hawkinson, he's a great quarterback to stack with. Yes, he threw, two interceptions, but he also threw how many TDs? Was it 3?
2 and 350 yesterday.
Yeah, so to me, I'm perfectly fine with that with Carson Wentz because if we've seen what the Vikings can do, the Vikings seem to really be good with those backup quarterbacks who just seem to shine, at least for fantasy's perspective. So I think Wentz would be a little bit better than Stafford. I think Stafford's more of the safer play, but I like Carson Wentz's upside with that wide receiver core. And yeah.
I think upside-wise, I had Wentz. So my top three is actually kind of a top four. Like I said, I was dismissing Dak and Fields. They're probably not available in your league. Mine was kind of the opposite. I had Wentz at, well, maybe not. I had Rattler at the bottom, but I had Wentz, I think, at 3. Not because I think he has the most upside, but like I'm pretty sure Stafford is going to be available, like the starter for the Rams, as long as he stays healthy, which may not be long. Dart, I think, is going to be the starter the rest of the year. And while I think he's Danny Dimes 2.0, his rushing upside might get him there. I think Wentz, as you've seen from 30 points, 28 points this week, I think he probably has the highest upside. I just don't know how long he keeps this job. So I had it Stafford, Dart, Wentz, Rattler. How would you rank the 4? You said you had Wentz first? Who's the next three?
So I had Stafford second, then Jackson Dart, and then Rattler fourth. Yeah. I don't trust outside of their tight end and Kamara and a little bit of Miller action too, because we'll get the running backs later. Yeah, that's kind of how I look at it. I don't trust any of their quarterbacks right now.
No, but I don't either. And I see Rattler as kind of a less safe version of Jackson Dart, if that makes any sense. They both look like they aren't great at passing the ball. They both look like they're going to run for 40 to 50 yards a game, which is an upside. The only reason I have Dart higher, I think I have more faith in Dart, but I don't know how long Rattler keeps this job, whereas I'm pretty sure Dart keeps this job the rest of the year. So it's not a great year, or not a great week for the waiver wire quarterbacks. Like I said, Matthew Stafford's been pretty good, 35 points this week, 375 and 3. He only has 2 picks on the season. He has 8 touchdowns on the year, so he's looked pretty good outside of week 1. I don't know, all around I think he's the safer play, but I certainly, especially if you had JJ, I certainly wouldn't begrudge anyone who went with Carson Wentz. All right.
I agree with that.
We can move on to an ugly-ish one. Maybe not. Maybe the running back position isn't ugly this week. I'll glance over. They've got 9 listed here on Sleeper. They have Kenny Gainwell, 43%. I was in on Gainwell as an Eagle. I thought he was explosive. I always thought if he ever got a shot, he would be awesome. Then
Oh
they
yes.
then they got Saquon, and he was dead. Uh, I haven't rebought in, but it looks like I might have to. He got 19 carries for 99 yards, 6 receptions for 35, 2 touchdowns. So the touchdowns really help. But we also have Justice Hill here. He's 10% rostered. I'm not nearly as interested in him. I'm not sure what the hell's going on with Derrick Henry. Probably the waiver target of the week here is Woody Marks, 37% rostered. He is slowly taking over for Nick Chubb. We don't know how long Joe Mixon's going to be back. Xavier Scott, it looks like the Vikings have taken Aaron Jones's work and they've broken it up into Scott getting the receiving and Jordan Mason getting the rushing. So I think he's worth a lower bid. We got Emmanuel Wilson on the Packers. I don't know why anyone would do that. He's going on bye this week. That one doesn't make sense. Kendre Miller, 7%. I don't mind that ad because he looks like he's very much splitting, not quite even with Kamara, but he's getting a good share. He's not getting any of the passing work. Rashad White is being added here. He's 45%. This is mainly because they sent Bucky Irving for x-rays, some kind of testing, MRI maybe. Maybe more of a handcuff. Brashard Smith showed some signs of life there for the Chiefs, especially in the passing game. He's 6%, and Chris Rodriguez at 33% in a messy backfield in Washington. He had 7 for 59. If you had to ask me, my top 3, I have it. Once again, I think my top 3 is a top 4. Woody Marks is your easy one. After that, I think I have it Kendre Miller 2, and a split between Xavier Scott and Gainwell at 4, depending on if you want to shoot for the ceiling or take the safe play. The other ones, like Chris Rodriguez, I want to avoid that backfield. I guess White's an okay handcuff, but I really have 4 guys I think I'm interested in here, and Woody Marks I think is the prize of the week. What do you make of the running back situation?
So I agree. Woody Marks, go out and get him. Right now, until we know what's going on with Joe Mixon, obviously he's still sidelined, so that can be some concerning. I know it's a little bit annoying for me since I have Joe Mixon in Scott Fishbowl, so that's always fun.
Me too. My 4th round pick in my RB2.
Yep. I mean, luckily I had Nick Chubb, but Nick Chubb seems to be losing more and more role because William Marks has just been looking really good, at least last week. So I have him on there. I actually have one that was not mentioned here, but that's only because he's on a bye. A couple of my running back picks are more so these are good stashes, or after this week, depending on the situation, it could be really good. So, for example, obviously Kenneth Gainwell. As an Eagles fan, fly Eagles fly, by the way, 4-0, let's go. I think that if he continues to get the opportunity, he will look just amazing. Once again, Kenneth Gainwell, I 100% agree with that one. Actually, one that was not mentioned that I think is great. It's a good handcuff / it's more of a deeper league for like a potential like flex. So if you're in obviously leagues that are like 12, 14 and up, look at getting Tyler Algier. He's a great handcuff because even with Bijan there, he still gets work. It's actually amazes me that he still gets work. So I like him. And then same thing like you mentioned before with White, and I'm a Bucky owner. So of course, x-rays scare me. I'm like, no, thank you. No, thank you, sir. But White would be a great handcuff to get if you can get him currently. And then I have one last one. This is more of a stash than anything else, and that is DJ Giddens. I truly believe if anything happens to Jonathan Taylor like we've seen in the past, this guy has a league-winning upside. Way with that offensive line. I personally like DJ Giddens. Love him coming out of college. So not so much something you can add now, but something I think later, it's better to be safe than sorry. Those would be my running backs.
I just looked, and it pains me to say this, but I drafted Woody Marks and dropped him after week 1 because I have too many injuries. I really wish I didn't do that.
I do too. I have like 6 injuries in weeks.
Yeah, I could have used that one. So who would you rank as your top 3 running backs then in the end?
Well, in the end, Woody Marks would be number 1. After you also mentioned Kenneth Miller, I think Kenneth Miller I probably would have probably for this week in particular, probably number 2, just for the waiver wire But if I was really ranking him, it'd be Woody Marks, Kenneth Gainwell, Tyler Algier. But of course, we're looking for week 5. So that would be my top 3 personally, just because I think those guys have great upside swings, especially after week 5.
I am looking at the waiver wire trending up players for wide receiver, and given how many players we are missing, it is very ugly. One sec.
Oof. Sure.
Sorry, I'm dying here.
Poor Hill, and poor Neighbors.
They have a couple on here like Quentin Johnston, 87%, Xavier Worthy, 92. Like, in what league are these guys not rostered? So I'm going to skip over the ones that aren't available. Yeah. So they have number 1 is Darius Slayton at 5%. He had 3 catches for 44 yards. He's not it. Romeo Doubs in his big ass helmet. He was useful. He had 6 catches on 8 targets, 58 yards, 3 touchdowns. I wouldn't expect that to happen every week.
No.
Miami has Malik Washington. That I assume is in response to Tyreek Hill looking like his leg is facing the wrong way.
Yep.
Khalil Shakir doesn't meet my roster limit. He's at 77, but he's one of my favorites if you can actually get him.
Mm-hmm.
They got Luke McCaffrey. That was all the touchdown. Marvin Mims had 6 for 69. He's a decent target. I don't know if I love him. Isaiah Bond, I see, had kind of a mini breakout, 3 for 58. That's pretty much his first 3 games combined. I don't want anything to do with that Browns offense. Jalen Tolbert, like I said, and we got another handcuff here for CeeDee Lamb injury. Jalen Hyatt, I don't really know why anyone wanted to add him. He hasn't recorded anything at all this season. He's only played 48 snaps total. We have a guy I added. I don't know why. Henry Ruggs, rumor is he's in visiting with the Giants and could be in with Neighbors down. We have AD Mitchell, who put up 3 for 96, but dropped a touchdown on the goal line.
Yeah.
It is an ugly waiver wire here for wide receivers, especially considering how many injuries we have. Was there anyone I missed who you're really looking at on the waiver wire? I think the wide receiver position is the one I'm least interested in this week. It's not pretty.
Well, for me, if you can get him, Elik, and I'm terrible at pronouncing the last name with it. I'm a Maynard.
Menor. Okay, that's one I missed. He's on my column. Yeah.
Yep, and he should have a pretty decent enough matchup next week. So it seems like it's going to be an easy matchup for him. So I kind of like him more and more each week that I watch him play. Just remember then, fantasy guys, even though we love looking at the stats that they do last week, we have to look at what they're going to do this week, and that's why you watch the film, and I think the film tells me that I think he's a great guy to add in there. I think Wan'Dale Robinson, if you can get him, I like Wan'Dale Robinson more than Slayton, but obviously
I skipped him because he was on the trending list, but he was too highly rostered. That's why I didn't. You're right. If he's available, grab him.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then obviously Darius Slayton. Obviously, you're only picking him because you really need to script the bottom of the barrel. He can have great flash weeks, though. In a best ball league, Darius Slayton can have the occasional week where he just goes off stupid. But you're right. It's not really too great of a wide receiver waiver wire week. But those would be pretty much the 3 that I would talk about.
You named my favorite guy, I think, who I forgot, Alec Marton. The problem here that worries me is he has 2 weeks where he has 7 targets, but with only 2 catches. And I don't think it's a him issue. I think Cam Ward and that O-line is just not great. Having said that, he would be my – okay, so if Wan'Dale's available, I would take one. Oh, I guess he is. He's 64%, so he does meet the cutoff. So Wan'Dale's my 1 then. My 2 would be Marton. I guess my 3 here is I'm looking Romeo Doubs, I think, is my 3. So, so that's how I have it. Wan'Dale, Marton, and Romeo Doubs. What are your 1, 2, 3 here?
Robinson, Elik for sure. I'm not a big fan of Dobbs because that whole Packer offense, it's outside of the for sure things like Josh Jacobs and Kraft. It's like which wide receiver is going to go off this week. It's always a carousel of which one. So,
Yeah, that's how bad the wide receiver wire is. I don't like Dobbs either, but he's my 3. It was either him or Marvin Mims.
I'll take Marvin Mims just because I got some shares of him, and I truly believe that he has all that talent. He's finally getting a chance to show it. You can use him for gashing plays. He's great for PPC, for return leagues, PPR. I think because he can do it all, I would trust the athleticism and that talent with a star in Bo Nix throwing to him, even though I know Sutton's his favorite target. So I'll pick Mims at 3.
That was the wide receiver targets. Ugh. Tight end. Tight end's never fun. Actually, you know what? I was looking at it on my show last night. Tight end, the bar for a top 10 tight end is normally like, 10 points? The bar for a top 10 tight end this week might be 25 points. It was insane. Like, I'm looking down. We have 10 points from Dalton Kincaid, who looks like he is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about tight end 18 on the week. So we had 18 tight ends scored double-digit fantasy points. So I'm going to kind of – I don't know if there's one option I love. I mean, everyone's going to be in on Darren Waller because he scored 2 times last night. Was it just 2? Yeah, I didn't watch the end of that. I switched the other games twice last night. Brenton Strange is number 2 on the list here. Not for me. I don't know. It's 6 for 7 or 6 catches, 7 targets, 45 yards. He's okay. Tommy Tremble was a touchdown yesterday. That helped him. Hunter Henry's consistent. Kyle Pitts. It's a lot of guys. Like if you read through the list of top scores this week, you're not going to get any consistency. My favorites were they meet the roster limit are Kincaid, Pitts. I don't know if Goddard is. He's 67% rostered. He's going to be a top 6 to 8 tight end when he plays. Don't rely on him as your main game plan here because he's going to miss as much time as he plays. But so like I'm going to roll through the list of producers here. So we had Warren. He's not available. Goddard's solid. Like I said, 67%. Kyle Pitts is in the 70s, so he might be available. He might not. Ferguson shouldn't be available at this point. Darren Waller is the one everyone's going to run to. Tommy Tremble, I said. Jake Tongas, he has been decent. He is pretty much available everywhere. When he scores, he's good. When he doesn't, he is useless. I don't know how much longer Kittle's going to be out. We had Mason Taylor get in on it here. He had 5 catches, 65 yards. We have a lot of boring production here. 10 points, 10 points, 12 points, 11 points, 14 points. Tucker Kraft, he's way too rostered. AJ Barner, Hunter Long, Hunter Henry, Mitchell Evans, Theo Johnson, Cole Kmet. It just seems like Elijah Arroyo. This week really seems like just a cluster of 10 to 15 point tight ends, and I'm not sure I trust any of them. Do you have anyone who really stands out?
Yeah, it's kind of odd because I have this strange feeling, you could say. I like Brenton Strange 1,000%. I've been a big fan of him. Why? Because that quarterback, if he won't target the wide receivers, he'll target that tight end. I believe in the volume. I believe in Strange. Always have since he's taken over that starting role, obviously, because Ingram went bye-bye. So Brenton Strange, to me, if I can get him, I'll get him everywhere I can, especially if you're in a tight end premium league. You want him. I also like Hunter Henry. I also really like Dalton Schultz. I think for a deeper league, Dalton Schultz makes a lot of sense if you need to stream a tight end. He's a great target guy there in Houston. Outside of, you have like Nico Collins, of course. But I trust Schultz to, hopefully get a touchdown here in the upcoming weeks. And then Dalton Kincaid. I mean, I really only have 4 because I really like Dalton Kincaid. I'm a little bit peeved at him though, because last year I drafted him believing all the hype in the world because they didn't have a wide receiver. Didn't do that well. But now look at him. Now he's finally actually clicking. So it's like, gosh darn it, the year I don't draft you. Whatever, it's fine. So those are my 4. Oh, and then a sleeper one / handcuff. If you want him, if he's there, just because we know his upside could be a potential league winning at a tight end position, which is kind of unheard of to say. But I do really, really like Isaiah Likely, especially if anything happens to Mark Andrews. Isaiah Likely is just going to be a stud.
It's kind of tough here because as I roll through the roster ships, pretty much any tight end who's ever started in the NFL is rostered. So I try to keep mine to guys who are 67% owned or less, available in at least a third of leagues. So I've got the same two. Well, I think two. I've got Strange first. I've got Goddard at 2. I'm even having a hard time finding anyone for a 3 who meets the roster ship cut here. That's the problem. I don't really want to get all in on Darren Waller. He would meet the cut. Tommy Tremble, I don't really have much interest in. Tongas, I don't think will be here. Mason Taylor, I think, is a good long-term option, especially in Dynasty. I really, AJ Barner could be more of a Dynasty option here. Really, I only have 2. I have, like I said, I have Strange and I have Goddard. Schultz was over the limit for me, I think. Oh, no, he's not. So Schultz would be my 3. He's only at 16%. I know Kincaid's over. So that would be it for me. That would be Schultz at 3. What were your 1, 2, 3 for this? I had Strange, Goddard, and who did I just say? I'm drawing a blank. Schultz. Who are your 3?
My 3 would be Brendan Strange, Dalton Schultz, and if he's available, I like Hunter Henry. So.
I think I liked Henry too. I assume at this point he's pretty. Oh, he kind of meets it. 1% over the roster cut. So Henry would be my 1 if at this point. Right. Here's the tough question: trying to remember all the players you talked about. Who is your 1, 2, 3 overall at all 3 positions? I've got to say we're probably both going to say Woody Marks is the 1. After that, it's kind of a big cluster. What do you got?
For this week, yes, Woody Marks. Otherwise, I would have picked Kenny Gainwell for my running back 1 and /1 overall. But since I'm not picking him because he's bye, I would look at.
Well, you can pick him because even if it's just rest of season, you can pick him even though he's going on a bye. They're all going to eat a bye week at some point.
At some point.
Gainwell's probably my 2.
Yeah, but yeah, so essentially that, and then I'll take Brendan Strange as my 3. At 2, I'll pick just again for now. I said I'll shoot the upside swing and get Carson Wentz, especially if I have a stack, which I do. So that's why I would like to have him personally.
I think I'm going running back heavy for my 3. It is Woody Marks by a mile. He is the one I'm putting all the money on.
Yep.
Not a close second, but second would be Kenny Gainwell, and a close third would be Xavier Scott of Minnesota. I'm not in love with any of the quarterbacks. I like Matthew Stafford, but he's not someone I'm dropping a ton of fab to get.
No.
I am not in love with any of the wide receivers here. In fact, as I scroll through the list, I don't think there's a wide receiver I'm going to put a bid in on more than like a dollar bid where I'm desperate. The tight ends, it's another spot where I'll take a couple shots on our top 3 here, but they'll be cheap ones. So I think the majority of my fab, unless I'm in a league where I lost a quarterback and I really need Stafford or Wentz, most of my more than $1 or 2 bids and my heavy fab bids are going to be on the 3 running backs. Most of it's going to go to Marks. I think Gainwell and, like I said, Xavier Scott are the only other ones that are even going to get close to a 5% bid. But Woody Marks, I think I'm going to have 20 to 25% bids in on him in a lot of leagues. Anything else? Anyone else we missed before we wrap it up here?
No, I think we covered everybody. Certain stashes that could be league winners. Great waiver wire pickups right now. Great for the rest of the season, guys. Yeah, no, I think we covered everybody.
All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in to the FSAN Grindhouse and our what are we on now? Week 5 waiver wire show. This is the one that always gets me caught in. Are we week 4, week 5? Damn waiver wire shows. Check us out next week. Again, we will try to go live at 9 a.m. every Tuesday if the buses aren't canceled and I can get my kid to school on time. But thank you all for tuning in. Alec, thanks for joining me. We'll see you next week. Take care, everyone.
See you.